public out there that are watching us in our community. Good morning for this Infrastructure, Environment and Compliance Standing Committee meeting for the 4th of October 2023. A leave of absence and apologies is on our agenda first up this morning. I'd note that leave of absence for our Mayor Otto, an apology for Acting Mayor Gavin Jones. That can be noted. We have a mover on that. Councillor Kathy Duff, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Erkins, thank you, Jane. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. Over to you, Councillor Duff, if you wouldn't mind the recognition of our traditional owners.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where we meet this morning, the Wak Waka people, and acknowledge the elders both past, present and emerging. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Item 4 on our agenda is declaration of interest. Does any councillors have anything to declare on our agenda today? If not, I'd like to note that in 16.1 in the confidential section, I have a conflict of interest where I will be leaving the room in relation to, in that section 16.1, Jubilee Park legacy issues. I have a family member involved in that, so I will be leaving the room. Nobody else has any conflict of interest to declare. We can work through that. If anybody sees something as we're going through the agenda, please let it be known. But we'll move on to item 5, the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. So it's 5.1. Do we have on page 6, that is, of your agenda, do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, thank you. A seconder, Councillor Duff, thank you. Is there any comments or commentary of the minutes of the previous meeting? No? All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 6 on our agenda is a portfolio infrastructure planning works and water and wastewater for plant and feet. In 6.1, infrastructure planning works maintenance portfolio report is on page 24 of your agenda. That's there for everyone to read. How are you going, Councillor Erkins? You've got... Righto, thank you. So the summary is Councillor Jones presents his infrastructure planning and works portfolio report to Council, and the recommendation is that Councillor Jones' infrastructure planning works, construction and maintenance portfolio report to Council be received for information. Do we have a mover? Councillor Shoemaker, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Potter, thank you. Comments, commentary? Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Just reading through the capital works and just drove Couchman's Road the other day and just wanted to congratulate the team. It's such a difference actually widening the road has made in terms of safety. So thank you so much for that project. It looks fantastic, and I know it's a really popular and popular road. I just wondered, the centre section, in some parts the pavement looked like it may have been aged or maybe potentially going, and we've done the sides of the road. I just wondered what the longer term plan perhaps is for that Couchman's Road, and happy to catch up with you. It's just a note I'd made.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, thanks very much, Council. We'll pass it on to the guys. So that project was a shoulder resheet project through there. Yeah, we're happy to have a look at the pavements through the middle there and see if it needs to be on a forward program.
Thank you. There's just some centre parts, yeah, that looked a little bit dicey, but otherwise, just such a dream. I actually passed a car down Couchman's Road and didn't hold my breath. So thank you very much for the efforts. I think it's great to see these projects come to fruition. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to thank the staff for the Gore Street Mergen State High School parking upgrade and the Dutton Street East Mergen State High School and Mergen State School footpath upgrade. Really great projects, and yeah, fantastic to see those done. And I also just wanted to ask a question. I know I asked this a million times, but I'm asking it one more time. Just where are we at with the footpath cleaning program?
Yeah, through the chair. So Kev just informs we have started this week. So we've been setting up a vehicle for that. So we've got a vehicle set up on trial. It's not a traditional street sweeper. It's actually a high-speed pressure cleaner, and they're up in Mergen this week. And I think they'll be going to Nanango next, is my understanding.
Awesome. And just a supplementary question, is that going to be a continuous rotation, that we just don't have space in the middle, like we just keep doing it?
Yeah, so the idea of that crew when we set them up is to move them through the town. So we'll look at their program and how they're going, because how long it takes to clean depends on how bad it is. So I know we cleaned Kingaroy a few weeks ago, and so I saw pictures yesterday or the other day, and someone's spilt some stuff down the road here, which means that we'll look at how our program works, where if we've got a bad spot, we might divert them for a day to clean a certain area, and then obviously move to the next town. So we'll rotate them through basically on an as-needs basis. So we'll find our feet, but as long as we've got a regular crew going out there to do some cleaning, I think we'll be going the right way.
Just supplementary question. Just also, I noticed that in many of the towns, including Blackbutt, beside not far from the bakery, there's pigeon poo, and it's just disgusting. And in both corners of the hotels, and it's not our fault, it's because of the roofing, they need to probably do something. Is there any way that we can work with those businesses to try and mitigate the pigeon poo? Because we can have the beautiful footpaths, and then we've got all this disgusting poo.
Yeah, through the chair. So this is something that Leanne's team has raised with us also, to try and meet with some of those businesses to offer them some ideas of how they might put the spikes up. My understanding is there has been some businesses in Blackbutt that have done it, and then they'll move along. So I think it's something that we're quite happy to talk to businesses about. I think a member of Leanne's team's got some great ideas in this space, and quite happy to. Might be something that we do with the local council in each of those towns to go and meet with some of those businesses and offer some suggestions. So it's interesting how it's become a problem, and then previously it hasn't been. It's just must be the cycle of what happens, I suppose.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's wonderful. Keen to work with. I'm sure all the councils would be keen to work if once we've got some information about how to mitigate that, to work with the business owners to help to achieve that, because then we would have amazing footpaths. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Yeah, just on that, I think, it's sometimes quite simple to solve that problem, but you shift it to somewhere else, so they need to be diligent about that as well in that space. But yeah, totally understand those issues. Thank you. So no more. Yep. Oh, sorry, Councillor Erkins, I didn't see your light on there.
Thank you. Through you, Councillor Henson. One of the things that I was really, really pleased to see, so we get a lot of feedback on the rail trail, Kingaroy North, but it was really great to see on the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail, there was someone had done a ride coming up and talked about the link trail coming from Yarraman through to Nanango, and there was some really good compliments to our council for doing some of the roadworks there, because a lot of people, apparently the feedback on that group had been not to use that trail because it was pretty rough and it was this and that, but someone, I think it was Jason, had actually ridden the trail and given a feedback on the Brisbane Rail Trail and had been very complimentary about the work that had been done on those roads for those riders coming through there. So that was really great. And like everyone here, I think, we're now getting compliments through. We're getting more compliments than complaints on our road system because they can see that we're getting in and doing it. I was very happy to go out last night and have a look at Bull Camp Road. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thank you. Look, just a couple of questions with regards to this portfolio that aren't actually in the report. So I noticed recently that in Glendon Street, some of that line marking towards the bottom end of Glendon Street near the intersection of Markwell there, is actually quite light. and someone actually parked over the driveway there at one stage because of the line marking not clearly marked. So that was a bit of an issue there at that time. The other one is with regards to Tabinga School, there's an issue with line marking and parking and signage and everything like that. And I'm just wondering whether we can look at Tabinga School and maybe put that in, look at it with regards to some of that funding for the, is it the STIP funding? I'm just sort of don't know sort of where we're at with that, but if that's something we could look at, or that's something we can do internally, but it'd be really great if we could look at something like that, because there also was an issue with their car park there because the water wasn't draining out of the car park either. I went up there the other day and took some photos. I'll send them through to you, but the water in that car park was just pooling and not actually draining out into that beautiful new drain that they've just built. So yeah, we haven't had rain since then, so I can't see how well it's working now, but yeah, back then it just, you know, a couple of weeks ago, it just wasn't good at all.
Just about get electrocuted here now. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Yeah, Manager Mann.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd be happy if the council send the details through to James, Kevin and myself, and we'll have a chat. There's a couple of issues there that James is raising with RoadTech just in relation to that drain. So, and there's an existing drainage issue up towards the pantry there that we're working through at the moment still. So yeah, happy to have a look at that at the same time.
Thank you. Just Manager Mann, a question. Page 29 on the patrol grading, and a road close to my heart. We travelled up there, Alois Creek Road. Has you just got an update on that at all? Page 29 on the patrol grading at Bunduma, we have Alois Creek Road mentioned there. We took a trip up there some time ago, risked our life and limb up there in the wilderness.
That's correct, Chair. In terms of the patrol grading, we would have only gone to the grid prior to the forestry, which is the historical length that we go to. In terms of us considering the rest of those roads or that section of road, still some work to happen in that space.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Thank you, Manager Meehan. That's certainly understand work in that space. There's long way up there and totally different usage of that road. So yeah, understand work in progress. Any other comments, questions? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour, unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to 6.2 on page 36 of your agenda. Requesting council name 2 new roads as part of subdivision at 241 Izzards Road, South Nanango. And the officer's recommendation there is recommends to council that to review the shortlisted names and makes a recommendation to council to name the 2 roads. The applicant's preferences are Road 1 Cripps Road and Road 2 Crossroads Road. Do we have a mover? Councillor Erkins, thank you, and a seconder, Councillor Duff. Questions, comments on that? There's an interesting explanation there on page 37 and 38, and I trust you've all read that. There's some interesting reasons why those roads have been picked. Has everybody read those and happy with that result? Yeah, we've got Cripps Road. Just quickly on that, Cripps Road. Arthur Cripps, the Australian middleweight champion, farmed north in Nanango. When he became famous as an amateur boxer by winning the amateur crown in 1902, he was induced to turn professional. After coming to Nanango, he occasionally returned to the city to defend his title over a 12-year period. He was never defeated. In all his bouts, he was known as a clean fighter, a courteous opponent, and a strictly honourable man. Arthur was also an international rugby union player who represented Queensland and Australia. And interesting, on page 359 of Pioneering into the Future, a history of the Nanango Shire. There's a great article in there, and of course the other road too is Cross Road. There's a detailed explanation there in relation to Dolly Cross Another wonderful story, and I think if everybody's in favour of that, or Councillor Erkins?
Can I just say that, I'd like to thank the staff actually for chasing this up, and also to the developers for, looking at naming them after local identities. I think it was a great outcome, and also an opportunity to educate people about some of our pioneers and what they've done for our district. So I was very happy with that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Oaken. Well said, and that's a great bit of history there as to hence those names have been chosen for those roads, and again, the developers, credit to them. So, yeah, well done all round there. Yes, Mr.
If everyone's in agreement of the resolution, but could we just knock over the lifting from the table before we vote on it, please? So that's a procedural resolution. So we're just,
yes.
we're going to be a little bit
from the table. We have a mover for that, Councillor Potter, second to Councillor Erkins. It's been lifted. All those in favour? Thank you. Do apologise. An oversight. I got excited about the Cripps Road and the Crossroad. Thank you, Mr. CEO. That being said, moving on with that, with everyone's happy with that result on that and all in supportive of that, so a great result in that space. Go to the vote, all in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 7, Infrastructure Planning, Works and Construction, 7.1 is on page 41 of your agenda. Minutes of the Traffic Advisory Committee meeting held on Monday the 11th of September 2023, and the summaries, the meeting was held in the Wandross Chambers, Kingaroy, on the South Burnett Regional Council on the 11th of September, and provided to note and consider the officer's recommendation that the committee receive and note the attached minutes and recommendations of the Traffic Advisory Committee held on Monday the 11th of September. We have a mover for that, Councillor Erkins, a seconder. Mover is Councillor Potter. You're the seconder, Councillor Potter. Thank you. Commentary? Questions? There's a detailed report there for several pages in your agenda.
Just a question.
Councillor Schumacher.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Just on page 43, just around the St John's Lutheran School bus operations, just didn't quite understand what was meant by the points made there. If the buses were coming off Tesmans Road, I was concerned. Are they doing U-turns, or are they diverting around other residential streets? I just wondered if you could explain that. James, please.
Through you, Chair. Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor Shoemaker. The issues around the operations, and it's more to do with the exit movements going from St John's. So what's currently occurring is that they're exiting the bus zone and then traversing the side streets. Ian Street is one, and I can't fully recall whether it's Margaret or Campbell being the other side street up there, but the issues that we've become more aware of is that due to increased parking on those side streets, the accessibility of that local neighbourhood just to the south is becoming a more prevalent issue, and particularly with the size of buses going down some of those local streets, there's better ways of movements for buses to go from St John's back to the high school. So the discussion that we've had over the last couple of meetings actually and trying to liaise with TransLink around this is around how about taking them through to Tesmans Road. It's a few hundred metres, but it's a far safer outcome, and Tesmans Road is a purpose road for that type of movement as well. So what we're trying to do is to encourage the buses to go through to Tesmans Road, then go down to Kingaroy Barkers and then come back into town. Using those higher order roads makes it a lot safer. There's far better visibility. There's a lot less houses. The use of that area is a lot more amicable for those types of movements. So that was the intent of that item, Councillor.
Thank you for the explanation. I think that makes full sense.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Just a question, Manager Darcy, on page 44, the update on the school zone speed signs in the Geelong Road. would you mind just enlightening, at the Traffic Advisory Committee, I think it was mentioned there's some 100 schools go on that list, and it's a process to work through that list. So did you just further input into that conversation?
Thanks, Chair. The item is something that we raised through the TAC just because the flashing school zone signs are a great initiative by the state and have been successfully rolled out over a number of years. And the query is around why the Geelong State School has what's called a static sign. It doesn't have the flashing signs, which are illuminated and trying to really bring a lot more awareness to road users coming into those areas. In relation to Geelong School, it is something that is sitting on a list that we're led to believe that the state have, and there's a backlog of over 100 schools that the state are looking to implement through a routine program. They do a set number per year, and unfortunately at the meeting it wasn't fully known as to where Geelong was on that list, but the takeaway message was around they will look to go and find out where Geelong is. Recent correspondence from the state is that Windra School is looking to go through a process of being upgraded to having those flashing school zone signs from some correspondence we've received in the last couple of weeks, which is a good outcome for Windra. That's not taken away from the fact of what's needed for Geelong, but it's good to see that these things are getting rolled out in our region.
Thank you, Manager Darcy. It does state there, 28th to the 11th, we might have some more information on that because that's when the next DAC meeting is. So hopefully we'll be able to get an update and bring that back to another standing committee meeting after that. So, yeah, no, great work. And that'd be great for Geelong and the implementation of that. It's on a busy intersection there and not far from the crossroads. So that would be a great result in the event that that gets up within that long list. So appreciate that. So any further questions, comments? If not, all those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 7.2, page 46 on your agenda, patrol grading with multi-tied rollers trial update. The summary is there in front of you and the offer's recommendation that the committee note the report. Do we have a mover of that? Councillor Shoemaker, second to Councillor Erkins. Questions, Councillor Shoemaker?
Thank you, Councillor Henshin. Thank you for the report and the update. As you know, I'm very excited about this trial. During the June 2023 Infrastructure Committee meeting, we were advised that should Council choose to adjust the service level and apply the multi-tired rubber wheel rollers to the unsealed road patrol grading crews, they would likely to be sourced from a mix of existing council-owned units or wet and dry hired units, depending on the particular demand of the unit at the time of the desired use. I understand council has 4 multi-tired rubber wheel rollers, which are utilised and allocated to the 4 construction crews. And we were advised at the time council owns a total of 9 various types of heavy rollers. The other 5 are multi-weight steel drum type rollers, which are also used by construction crews in combination with the multi-tired rollers, but are generally not ideal for maintenance grading tasks in isolation. See, look at me learning. My question is, what I was thinking reading over this report and previous reports is, those 5 multi-weight steel rollers, are they as not effective? Do all 5 of them actually meet the IPWEA benchmark standard of 500 hours per annum? And should we consider changing out the multi-weight steel rollers for some more multi-tired rollers so that we don't have to source these externally?
Yeah, through the chair. So for the unsealed stuff that we're using for the maintenance grade, the multi-tires are the pneumatic ones that we use at the moment. The steel drum ones, there's a combination of those at different weights for different projects. So my advice to council would be to probably review it in 12 months' time, given that you've got flood damage and major construction on at the moment, and those steel drums will be in use throughout that period of time. The main thing there, just talking with Kev last week, is that we are looking to hire at the moment for the multi-tyre rollers because our rollers are in use with our current program, knowing that we've got Maidenmore, Bunya Mountains and some other roads, major construction starting in the new year as well. So most of our gear will be taken up. At the moment, we've only been able to source one roller in the market, so we'll be looking to utilise that. What I would suggest council does is do a review of its program and its fleet next year after the trial goes through it, and if you decide to change out, then yeah, that might be your opportunity to do it at that time, depending on where your work lies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we do ask ourselves those questions, because if we've got 5 rollers that aren't necessarily, meeting our needs or used at that benchmark, I do think it is something, it makes sense to me to get the equipment that we actually use or need for the job. So if some sort of note can be made after the trial is done, so that we can actually ask ourselves these questions about our roller fleet to make sure that we've got the right fleet, I think is really important. My supplementary question was just in terms of the metrics to determine the effectiveness of the trial, and if we should actually change our service levels. Like, have you set some sort of guidelines around how we'll know if increasing the medium formation grading has actually been successful?
Yeah, through the chair. So the main thing with these sort of works is it'll be a visual assessment. I think it's one thing that we'll do a review after 12 months to see the condition of that road versus some of the, because we track them all, we can do a comparison between the performance of a patrol grade versus that. There is no doubt that the multi-tyre rollers will be more effective on the network. That's just a given due to compaction. The main thing will be around is how much do you want to service, and if you want to increase it, I think the big thing for us to be looking for here is how much distance we're getting done, so you can compare how long it's taking you to get through the network on a multi-tyre trial versus a patrol grade trial. And that was probably a key point of discussion at the time. Is it going to take us 2 years, or is it going to take us 18 months versus a 12-month for a patrol grade? I think that will be a key one to look at, how quickly we get through the network and how effective it is. And I think once we get some of these through, it'll be a good discussion for the new council when we're setting the budget for next year to do a comparison of which way you want to go with your services. And it might be that you use a tiered service, and it might be that you increase the multi-tyres progressively over time, as opposed to reducing the patrol grade depending on what you want to spend. It all costs money, obviously. Even changing out a roller. So if you change out a roller, the big thing there will be if those machines are not being utilised to their full amount over the next 12 months, then it's an opportunity to change them out as opposed to hiring in the other machines. So I think that's a valid question for us to look at that time as well.
Yeah, certainly. I think we've had this discussion about, is patrol grading trying to actually stretch our resources across the whole network and achieve a patrol grade everywhere, the actual optimal result. And by introducing a level of medium formation grading on higher order or more strategic roads, are you actually getting more longevity out of that than your patrol grading? And I really do think we need to ask ourselves these questions and have a really thorough look at our service level. And I know that's part of our operational plan, but I'm really interested in this trial in terms of how we actually know or make that decision, because you can't make that decision just on money, if you ask me. There's a multiple number of factors that we need to consider there. So I'm really keen to lean in. Currently we do 1,440 kilometres per year of patrol grading and 60 kilometres of heavy formation grading. Now, it's not a lot of heavy formation grading when you look at the network. The trial is proposing to do 150 kilometres of medium formation grading, and I know that will take from the patrol grading, but we're still going to actually, try to get across as much of our network as possible. And I think with the flood works, this is an optimal opportunity to actually run this trial. So, thanks for the report. I really do want to see and understand it. I understand it will be something for the next council in setting down their next budget, but really understand our current service level and the opportunities to get maybe smarter, not work harder, and certainly that roller fleet, I think, if we're not getting if we're not reaching the IPWAQ benchmarks for 500 hours per year on all of those rollers, then I think we need to really take a good look at what we've got and what we need and make that shift. So thanks for the report. They're just some of my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Any further questions or comments? If not, that's been moved by Councillor Shoemaker, seconded by Councillor Erkins. All those in favour? Thank you, unanimous. Item 8.1 on page 47 of your agenda is Water and Wastewater Portfolio Report, and Council Officer's recommendation that Councillor Jones's Water and Wastewater Portfolio Report to Council be received for information. Do we have a mover? Councillor Potter, a second to Councillor Erkins. Questions, comments? Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you. Just reading page 50. Lake Bindooba allocations currently tracking slightly over for the first time this year. Daily demand is up, and the comment is that water officers will advise council if additional allocation is required. And also just a comment there that the Blackbutt irrigators are using a much larger portion of water than normal, obviously, due to the climatic conditions. Just really curious about what that actually looks like. If demand is up, I know, does that start triggering, do we have sort of a forecast for when we start triggering higher water restrictions? And in terms of allocation, have we got, there's been some talk about, you know, establishing a working group or actually continuing that work. So I just think that's a really strategic issue that needs attention.
Through the chair, so put two parts to that. So if we have in the past exceeded our allocation, so we'll be seeking a temporary transfer, and we'll bring that into the new year, depending on where the where that ends up. Just into the second part of your question in relation to the allocations and the long-term planning for that, that has commenced over at the moment. We have someone putting together, I suppose, a periodic or a tiered system approach to that, depending on what that would look like and some options. So that'll be something that we'll be progressing in the next couple of months to look at how we sort out the temporary and permanent transfer options for that. So there's a gentleman working on that proposal at the moment, so we can start to put that together and commence our discussions where we need to.
Yeah, thank you. I know that's just been something that's been tabled since the commencement of this term and certainly the previous term of council, and I think that work is really critical for the growth and sustainability of our region. So thank you for the update.
Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make a comment about the fact that it's great to see the dams so full, and then now that we've got such a dry time for everybody, it's just you know, we're all in a terrible drought again, and I just wanted to let everyone know that on Sunday the Barossa Ministers Association are having in the Wandai Town Hall just prayers for rain. So yeah, I just wanted to yeah, even in this dry time, it's great to see that we've got, I mean, the dams are going to start to evaporate. There's going to be a lot more use of the water. Again, we're struggling. It just goes from, Buddy Thompson wrote a song, it's either too dry, you can't breathe for the dust, or walk for the mud on the ground. We have so many extremes now. So just wanted to flag the fact that everybody's doing it tough, particularly the farmers at this time, and the prayers are at 3 o'clock on Sunday in the Wandai Town Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Yeah, look, it's astounding, isn't it? Last year we 5 major weather events, and 9 months, 10 months down the track, here we are in the grips of drought again, and it's just unbelievable. I noticed CO markers as we travel back, or I travel back from Western Downs yesterday. There was a big digital sign to encourage people to be water smart in the township of Bell yesterday. I really think people need to be diligent about their water and reminded of it. There's people screaming for water now, as we sit here, that the wait on delivery, water deliveries, is just unbelievable. They'd be talking 8 weeks or more. That's a bit late when you've run out of water, but people are trying their best to help in situations across our region. But for the primary producers, and of course, water. And I look at these and I mention it every time we come to this standing committee meeting, and on the standard, like Boondooma Dam's at 78% last month, and it was 80%. BP Dam's at 80% last month with 84%. Gordon Brook Dam 71, last month was 72. Burby Dam is now 92%, and last month was 100%. And everyone out there saying how the water's just disappearing, and evaporation rates are at their highest, and they'll get higher at this time of the year from now on with the heat. Across the country and across this region, evaporation per year is 2 metres on average. So, yes, water, it's gold, and without it, you have absolutely nothing. So, as much as 78% in Boondooma Dam might sound substantial, let me tell you, the landowners along the edge of that water line are all making comment just how it's disappearing. They've got pumps and allocations along there, and it's getting further and further out from the bank. It's scary, and there's nothing inside. As Councillor Duff, good luck with that prayer. Wish everybody all the best, and certainly, fully supportive of that. If it means if we can get a storm of some description, and Victoria, as we speak, apart from having bushfires down there now, it's predicting 100 mil of rain down there. So we are in a stark contrasting country with our states and counterparts across our country. So, any other comments on this item on your agenda? No, if not, we've had a mover, thank you, Councillor Potter, and a second to Councillor Erkins. All those in favour? Thank you, unanimous.
Chair, could I
Mr. CEO.
Jess, we've got the infrastructure staff. The only one left on the agenda for them is 15.2. So would we be able to bring 15.2 up, and then those guys can go about their business?
I'd be happy if Councillor Potter moves that 15.1 be brought forward in our agenda, seconded by Councillor. Sorry, 15.2, I beg your pardon, for the purpose of our staff to be able to get this out of the way, and they can, I'm sure they're busting to get back to their desks and offices. So moved by Councillor Potter, seconded by Councillor Erkins. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. We'll go straight to 15.2, which is on page 112 of your agenda. As we frantically, Councillor Erkins has got that up on your screen. So 15.2 is a question on notice in infrastructure. The Infrastructure Department has received the below questions on notice in relation to the Bunya Highway between Mergen and Kingaroy, and the Dagyal Highway between Kingaroy and Blackbutt. There's a lot of overgrown vegetation on these roadsides, a lot of high grass over 700 mil around the guideposts, which is obstructing the vision of the red reflectors on the left. What methodologies does the Somerset Regional Council use in relation to guideposts, straightening, maintaining body of grass around the guideposts, mitigating the growth of weeds? And 2, what works are proposed to be done for Whelan Street, Highsville? And the response to the questions on notice from Mayor Otto and Councillor Duff be received and noted. They are there. The questions on notice from Councillor Duff in relation to Whelan Street and Highsville. You happy, Councillor Duff, with that response?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, happy.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. And the second question on notice from Mayor Otto. Mayor Otto is, of course, absent. We're all take it noted as read. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Everyone's happy with... Oh, Councillor Shoemaker, sorry.
Yeah, just a further question, just in relation to the RMPC. Obviously, at the moment, the slashes are parked up a bit with the dry conditions. And reading, about the guidepost program that you currently do when you can, when budget's available. I'm just wondering, what's actually happening if we're not slashing. Are there other works, or are all crews diverted to flood works?
In terms of the RMPC, it was interesting to look at the activities last financial year and the priorities that that our work was diverted on. In terms of the guideposts, we actually didn't spend a great deal of money on or time on on Guidepost this financial year, we are likely to do that. In terms of the slashing, our crews will divert, and you see in the report the boom mowing that we're currently doing, which is a significant amount of work that we do, and so we'll. There's certainly plenty of work to be done, and there's no problems in terms of diverting crews and employees to different tasks.
Yeah, thank you. Just as always, we know how tight that RMPC maintenance budget really is, and as always, just want to ensure we expend all of that, regardless of the conditions, to get the best outcomes on the network, and really do appreciate the work your team does do in that regard. So thank you.
Thank you. I got a little bit ahead of myself there, managers and councillors. Just in relation to the recommendation, questions on notice from the Mayor and Councillor Duff be received. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Duff, thank you. Second to Councillor Erkins. We've had commentary on it. No further commentary. Everyone's happy. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. We go to 9.1 on your agenda. Is page 55. Which is portfolio for natural resource management, rural services, agricultural innovation, compliance and environmental health. The office's recommendation that Council Hensh's natural resource management, compliance and health portfolio report to Council be received for information. It's there in front of you. It's quite short and quite sweet, but under the weather conditions with natural resource management, with the facilitating the fire information in Kingroy Supper Room was held the other night. It was a great roll up to that, and some wonderful thoughts shared at that night. And the weed management, K&S Contracting has finished up with treatment of mother of millions and are now spearing tree pear in the Cumbria and Geelong areas. With ongoing dry conditions, the weed program will need to be amended as needed, as spraying or treating weeds that are stressed is not recommended. And NRM have had a good response to the Mother of Millions letter that was sent out to various landowners. The letter provided information to the identification and treatment options for Mother of Millions. An Ango Garden Talk was held on the 7th of September with 37 participants attending. And in the feral animal management, in September, the Wild Dog and Feral Control Program was conducted with 75 landowners participating. And the team had 6 livestock call-outs, 2 impoundings of a bull and a sheep, and 4 cat traps were hired out. Consulting group Redleaf have drafted a roost management plan for the bat colony, which has previously been located at Toromeo Creek Blackbutt. And the plan includes several suggested management actions that will be considered further. Each option has included a risk and a cost factor, and also a brief description on the activity and how they believe it would be accepted by the community. So good work in that space. I'm sure the community of Blackbutt will be pleased with that. Hopefully it's a good result. And in compliance, 2 historical dog nuisance complaints are currently under investigation in the Wattle Camp and Coverty areas, and there are investigations in progress regarding music events on private property in collaboration with planning. And regulatory services have recruited a new compliance officer and are in the process of pre-employment medicals prior to commencement. And environmental health food business licensing renewals have been completed for the 23-24 year, and Council's senior EHO intends taking leave from November 2023 and returning in April 2024. Recruitment has commenced to backfill the EHO's role. I wish them well on their break. With that, I'd like to move that my Natural Resource Management, Rural Services, Agricultural Innovation, Compliance and Environmental Health Portfolio Report be received. We have a mover. Thank you, Councillor. Oh, I've moved that. Councillor Shoemaker has seconded it. Thank you. All those. Any questions or comments? Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Henshin. Thanks for the report. Certainly biosecurity is critical to our primary producers and local piggeries. And I just want to take a moment to thank Kerry Hayes and his team, who worked incredibly hard to conduct this baiting program for wild dogs and pigs. The benefits of a program like this are far-reaching, and I saw firsthand how demanding injecting all of those baits actually was. And I was really impressed by the professionalism and the friendly service the team provided, and just wanted to congratulate everyone involved. So Manager Brooks, please pass on our thanks. That was an enormous effort. I'd never actually attended a station before, and I learned a lot. So thank you to the team. They're really passionate, and it was great to catch up with many landholders while I was there. I also just wanted to ask about the roost management plan. I know there's been a lot of conversations with LGAQ, and there's potentially some funding to help us with that. I was really interested. I know we've tried a number of strategies to manage the bat colony in Blackbutt, and I was just really interested in the management plan, Manager Brooks, and wondered if it's something that council might be able to workshop or discuss with your team.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so the roost management plan's still being reviewed by officers at this point in time, but more than happy to share the information that's contained within it, because there is some really good information in there. The flying foxes aren't there currently, so I think the focus on what we want to try and do is, when we get the reports of them returning, what's our immediate response? Because that's the time to throw your resources at it, throw your money at it, and try and do something about moving them on at that point in time. So, but no, I'm more than happy to circulate it and further discuss it with council once it's been reviewed by staff.
Fantastic. And just in closing, my fingers are crossed for the new compliance officer role that I see is in pre-employment medicals and about to commence, if not commenced at the time of reading. Such a critical role, and I know we've really struggled this term in terms of recruiting those kind of resources. So really do welcome that officer. Do hope that work comes through and lightens the load on your very resource-stricken team, Manager Brooks. So thank you very much for the report. Councillor Henshin.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Yes, Manager Brooks, one other thing, and I made mention of it last month, but excellent work in the space of working with our neighbouring councils. I know the property owners that are on our boundary across our entire region made comment previously about working together with neighbouring councils and implementing this baiting program, which this time has been done, I think, absolutely excellently around all of our boundaries with all our neighbouring councils. And I know the primary producers out there have thought that's been a great asset to them to be able to work in conjunction and coordinate that, rather than being a month apart or something. So yeah, congratulations on that space as well. All right, no further. Oh, Councillor Erkin, sorry, yes.
Thank you. Through you, Councillor Henson. The fire information night that was held in Kingaroy was really very interesting, and I know that I've had a lot of feedback from community members who didn't attend it but who would like to attend something similar. I just wonder if it wouldn't be possible for us to maybe work with rural fire brigades to see if we can put something in some of the other towns, just an information type thing on how small property owners especially can prepare and the different actions that they can take to ensure that should a fire come through, that they've got the best, method of survival or the best chances of survival and saving what they can. But, I feel that even just those areas getting together, even if we could maybe organise something with some of the rural fire brigades, I know that they're quite often looking for new members. I wonder whether council could work with them to host some things at their sheds to invite neighbours from that area where they can then discuss where there are issues that they may be able to address as a small community. So I don't know, Mr CEO, how we would go about organising that.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. That's a good point. And it was a great informative night. Mr CEO or Manager Brooks, if we could work in that space, and I know it all takes funding and time, but Talisa done a great job that night in facilitating Hannah, the speaker there on the night, and Marty from Rural Fires. So that's probably a work in that space. And at the moment, of course, extreme fire, high fire risk. I mean, we've had it every day or every week. There's been a fire, if not in the Burnett, in Western Downs. There was one. Of course, Victoria's just been alight for the last couple of days. So, yeah, that space is, we could work in that space and try and facilitate something in the foreseeable future.
So the question is, do you want to do another one of those fire nights or
No, I was thinking, rather than something like that, whether it would be possible to work through Marty with the local rural fire brigade. So rather than have something like that, try and do it in those areas, you know, like say at Wattle Camp or, you know, just in, yeah, mind you, in the smaller communities. I just thought it would have a benefit for people actually identifying areas that, should fire come through, identify areas that could be cause issues, but also it may also assist the rural fire brigades in you know, obtaining some more volunteers and having people aware of it. But it's more about probably the sharing the information as to in an area.
Well,
even things like where there are dams, who's got water in the smaller areas.
Yeah, I'll go and then Aaron, but I would say, how about if we put it down as a question, as check with QFIS what they're already doing, because this tends to be a QFIS space. They organise all the rural fires, so if we put it down as a question and find out what they're doing, and then we can, so we're not doubling up, but that's my first thought.
Yeah, many.
Through the chair, so I wasn't at the last LDMG, but I did ask the same question at the previous one. So QFS will have a program, or Rural Fire will have a program that they're starting to run through these months. So we can get Donna to follow up what they're currently doing and send that advice out to councillors and see if we want to increase our participation or what we're looking to do. I know in the past, normally this time of year they'll start Operation Knock Knock, which is basically the local wardens knocking on people's door to advise them about being bushfire ready and all those sort of things. So I think their fire season is not looking very good at the moment in discussions we've had with them. So happy for us to take that up with Rural Fire and provide some advice back to council.
Just on that, Councillor Erkins and Councillor Duff, I'm pretty sure we're the same. I myself, and I'm sure you are, Councillor Duff, are fire wardens in our respective areas, and we would get, if I said 10 emails a week from QFS in relation to fires, and they have information packages which is available, and they send out packages. They have some wonderful literature that was there the other night. They do a lot of work in that space, but it's probably, again, people's mindset and communities, what was mentioned there the other night, communicate.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
I think probably I've just seen that there are so many people have come from city areas, have bought small acreage blocks. A lot of those people are totally ignorant of the repercussions of fire coming through. So I think it's probably what I'm thinking is more than, you know, if we have one big thing, I don't think you get that community involvement where, you know, you meet your next door neighbour and they can tell you what they've done. They can tell you things like, you know, well, if a fire comes through, your plastic tank is going to melt. The power's going to be off and you're not going to have power for your pump. Just things like that, that people that you guys all know about, and if you live on acreage, you are completely aware about. But there are a lot of people, I mean, you're seeing it now with people who are completely run out of water from their tanks, have no idea where to order it from, have no idea of the weight of water, because it's just, they're things that if you lived here and you've lived on acreage, you know, but there are so many people who do not know. So I'm thinking more of an education type thing, but working within the smaller communities rather than a big across the thing. I just wondered whether we couldn't sort of coordinate. So that's, I'm happy with the answers that we've got given, but that's the...
Good point, Councillor Erkins. But again, you know, QFS does an enormous job, and they liaise with a lot of people, and they have a lot of literature. They do an enormous amount of work in that space. Young Robbie Butters gets on the radio every second Tuesday and does a wonderful job to explain to people, you know, what's happening and some of those things, as what was spoke about. And you just mentioned power. You know, people, yeah, their own diligence as to what they've got to be aware of. One of the first things in a fire circumstance is you'll lose power. So straight away you don't have water. Even if you've got a tank full of water there, a bucket's no good, do you?
I understand that. That's something that we all know. But what I'm saying is if there is some way we can work with the rural fire brigades to assist them in hosting these types of evenings, and hopefully then, because I know that all the rural fire brigades, along with the SES, are, you know, they're very short on volunteers. Perhaps it's a good idea, and as councillors, that we can drive it in our communities to try and raise that awareness for community members. Thank you.
Yeah, no, good point, Councillor Ergens. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thank you. I think as a follow-on to what Aaron was saying is that Donna's actually already planned, she's already spoken to QFES about having different things with regards to community information sessions through the LDMG. She's already started that conversation with QFES, but sadly we can't do that until March because they have told Donna that they're just going to be too busy in the fire season to try and do anything at all during this particular fire season. So we really can't do anything according to QFES in this space until after March. But this is something that Donna is working on in the LDMG space. Thank you.
And I guess, Mr. CEO, perhaps we could do a media release and just make people diligent about, you know, the extreme extent of the region's fire danger at the moment. Councillor Duff.
I just wanted to just back up what's been already said pretty much, but I learned a lot from that workshop the other day. I thought two things. One was when you get everyone, the family that went into the swimming pool thinking that if they went under the water that they would be safe, and I would have thought that too, but the oxygen went completely out of the water and the whole family suffocated. It was terrible. And then the other one where they said that the houses, that like everyone was to leave, and the people who were forward thinking enough, or they had the opportunity to actually empty their tanks and sprinkle their houses and have the gutters cleaned out, those houses stayed and the others all got burnt beside them. Like, it was incredible to get that sort of information from those people who knew firsthand the experiences that happened in Victoria. So yeah, I thought that was an amazing workshop. So good on, congratulations to everybody involved in that. But yeah, certainly keen to see what more we could spread. But I understand the rural fires would be so busy right now. But yeah, that's information that really needs to get out. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Duff. And again, Manager Brooks, great credit to Talisha for organising that night. It was a very informative night, that's for sure. All right, is there no further comments or questions on that? It was moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Shoemaker. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. Moving on to 9.2 on page 57. Natural Resource Management Compliance and Environmental Health Operational Update. And the officer's recommendation that the Natural Resource Management Compliance and Environmental Health Operational Update be received for information. We have a mover, Councillor Shoemaker, seconder, Councillor Erkins. Questions, comments? It's there on page 57, 58. There's some statistics there. Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Certainly note it's been a busy year. There's a lot of data here, and I guess just trying to interrogate it or understand it a little bit better in terms of our service delivery to the community. Just a question for Manager Brooks, just around the animal management customer requests. Like, there's a lot of different categories: animal to animal attack, animal management, animal investigations finalised, and then of course the impounded cats and dogs. I just wondered, you know, with this information and the long-standing conversations we've had about animal management, you know, I can see we're tracking a little lower than last year's level of complaint or customer requests, but actually don't really understand what they're in relation to. You know, is it unregistered dogs? Is it dog attacks? Is it, what of our compliance officers? Obviously, they've been very busy, like from the statistics, but it's really difficult to understand, the intricacies of those services from these statistics. And I wondered, just in your experience, certainly in working in other councils, if there's a better way for council to sort of be across or to understand this, so that when we're making budgetary decisions, we're better informed or we've got that evidence.
Yeah. Through you, Mr. Chair. So this report is automatically generated out of Tech One through the CRM system. So really, these are the categories that the request comes through. So it's just automatically generated in this format. My experience at other councils, we wouldn't report to council on this level of information. This is really, really operational. This is the, get the boots dirty sort of stuff. So generally, we don't report this sort of information. I mean, if you want it to break it down even further, that's something we need to have a look at through our ICT people and just see whether we can dissect it down to that nth degree that you're looking for.
Yeah, just to be clear, it's not actually, I actually don't want the operational data as such. I just want to understand better from a strategic point of view in terms of the service level. Are we meeting the service level? What are the challenges? Have we got enough resources? Like, there's some of the questions I ask myself when I see these stats. I know when I first came to council, there was no sort of stats or anything reported. And I was trying to better understand the operation and did seek this kind of information. But sort of reading over it every month, I certainly think it could be quite time consuming, and I'm not sure if it actually adds value. So it just might be something, to take away with the executive leadership team around some of this information and see if there's a better way. Like, it's really trends and things that we want to see if we're not meeting service levels, or if there are risks to budget because, we've had an enormous number of animal complaints, or, I guess they're the sorts of things I'm thinking strategically maybe a council needs to be better across rather than the nitty-gritty of the operations. So they're just some of my insights or thoughts in reading this, and I really do want to make it, a much easier process for you and your team in terms of preparing these reports, but it's really trying to understand what we need to know. There's a lot of operational data in the entire agenda that I'm not sure really always tells us what we as strategic leaders actually need to know. It's just my insight. Value any thoughts or ideas you might have, and maybe, Mr. CEO, that's something that the ELT could consider discussing and bringing back some ideas.
No further comments or questions. Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. So moved by Councillor Shoemaker, seconded by Councillor Erkins. All those in favour? It's unanimous, thank you. Item 10 on your agenda, 10.1, page 59, is your local disaster management portfolio report. And the officer's recommendation that Councillor Potter's local disaster management portfolio report to council be received for information. Do we have a Councillor Potter to have some report? Thank you.
So we've actually been very busy in this space. So at our last disaster meeting, we actually had QFES, the public information warnings team there. So I would like to make everyone aware that the warning advice have changed. So you'll see some of the new signage around. So there's the advice, the watch and act, and the emergency warning. So advice is the yellow, watch and act is the orange, and emergency warning is the red. So, and these are for the hazards of bushfire, flood, storm, cyclone, including and heat. So please remember that, because coming into this season, we're going to have a lot of heat issues and probably a lot of bushfire issues. If anyone wants to look up more information, please go ahead and look up the AWS warning system. So moving forward, the local government are responsible for issuing the AWS messaging for the floods, storms and cyclones, and this will be locally led, state-supported council comms team. And the water team, disaster management team will be carrying out training to populate the templates. So the Bunya Mountains subgroup meeting was postponed to the 12th of October due to a few members being unavailable. But following the quarterly meeting, the QFES Emergency Management Coordinator will be conducting a SITREP training up there. And also the Community Preparedness Day for the Bunyas has been arranged for the 18th of November between 10 and 1. So please go up there, have a look. But this is also in conjunction with the Dinner Under the Stars at the Bunya. So it was done on purpose for this particular day because we knew there'd be people up there as well. I'd like to say Donna's done a lot of work in this space too. So, and also Donna met with the C2C Disaster Management Network on Wednesday the 13th of September, where the group were privileged to have the Deputy Commissioner Chappelli attend and discuss topics of interest for the group in relation to implementation of the machinery of government changes and the associated government decisions on SES and forming a Marine Rescue Queensland and the expansion of the disaster management functions into the Queensland Police Service to ensure community safety throughout Queensland. It was an informal engagement session and we look forward to continuing work with the QPS and relevant authorities in relation to the changes. Further workshops will be carried out. The group also has a member from QIT Plus, which is the Guardian MIS, which is the Council's disaster management software program, to come along to discuss new features available within the disaster dashboard. And this is really important for us and our community because the disaster dashboard is your first point of call. It's your first place to tell people to go if they want information. So please feel free to push Disaster Dashboard out there. It's got everything on it that people will need. And also as part of the meeting, LGAQ and the Wide Bay provided updates on their upcoming events, including programs and the LDMG actions as a way of continued learning and improvement for the between our councils. I'd like to move that my disaster management report be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. I have a second for that. Councillor Erkins. Questions, Councillor Duff?
Thank you. Chair, yeah, what is listed here, this Community Resilience and Preparedness Day, Councillor Erkins just whispered to me, and I agree with her, that this would be something like what we're talking about doing across all the communities, not just the Bunya Mountains, but that kind of thing where you have a Community Resilience and Preparedness Day, but more focused on, in this instance, the bushfire risks. So that, whether that could be something that could be rolled out. I seek feedback from GM Meehan.
Yeah, through the chair. So I'll just highlight to council too, we have the Get Ready program that we run across as well. So I think it's probably an opportunity for, there's nothing new about some of these events that we run. I understand we want to get the message out there, but we do run a Get Ready program as well, which is funded for that exact reason. So I think it'll be I'm happy to put an update in for the next one on the Get Ready program. And I think it's probably, about, working with QFES. I know they're busy around what opportunities are there for local promotion is probably the best thing. Because at the end of the day, my personal opinion is it's more important for people to get in touch with their rural fire representative in their area as opposed to council in that space. Like we can facilitate certain things and those sort of things. But at the end of the day, the whole idea of those rural fire, they are the lead agency in bushfire in those elements. We support them. So I think it's important that maybe we look at promoting the programs that they're going to run and see if we can get some more information to push that out. The one with the Bunya Mountains Disaster Management Group is that there is a subgroup up there which was formed, which was raised about, I think 3 years ago due to bushfire risk. So they are a very well organised community and they are run by the group of volunteers and we're getting in behind to support that. And they ran that event 2 years ago, I think it was, and it was very successful up in that area. They had the fire trucks and the snakes and ladders and the Get Ready program. So I'm happy to put some of that information together in the next report, just so council can be aware of what activities are there. And then I think it's probably an opportunity to look at how we can partner locally to support other people if they want to promote in their area.
Thank you. Just through you, Chair. Yeah. So what I noticed, and I've had questions asked before at the meeting the other day that we had the workshop. A lot of people have no idea how to contact their brigades. They don't know who the local fire wardens are. Perhaps as part of that, we could put a list. Council could put a list of all of the local fire wardens at least to go around. So even on our Facebook or something like that, because there's a big gap in there because new people to the area have.
Councillor Duff, can I just interject there? QFS has that. It's a matter of a phone call and they will give you a printout of every fire warden and contact in every division. So it's just a matter if that was publicised or put out there, that's available to everybody.
So whether we put out to everybody how to contact QFS.
Yeah,
Because
well-
I noticed there was people there that just had not a clue.
Well, and again, it's communication. It was mentioned at the meeting the other night. People say they have no idea, but they've got to just go and communicate with QFS. And there's Danielle over there in the office will give them a list with every fire brigade and the contact details and the wardens in those. I've got one myself, so it's there, it's available. So, yeah, a good comment. Yeah. Councillor Erkins.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that event that we had over at the town hall, that was excellent. You know, it was really, really good. However, how many people attended it compared to how many people there are in our region, and how many people, when I put photos up, have said they didn't know about it? So the issue is, how do we get out to people? It's not that we're not doing it, but it's how do we get people involved? And I understand that, you know, a lot of people do know, well, this is my, how do I find my fire warden? But the basic facts are, our community do not know. So that is the facts. They do not. We can run as many things as we like, but if we can't get the word out to people, you know, it's not really achieving anything. And I'm not saying that that's council's fault. I mean, I think they're doing a great job. But it's, you know, at one stage, there was one radio station. If you wanted to put something out, you put it on the radio station and everyone knew. Now, I mean, I never even listened to the radio. So it's how you get that message out. I don't know how, but I think that's what we have to investigate, how we can get out to these people who have moved to the area, bought a nice house on 5 acres, and think that if there's an issue, they'll just ring 000 and the fire brigade will come out to their house. You know, these people do not have any idea. They're completely uneducated about living in small rural communities with, you know, very few volunteers in those positions, but crying out for volunteers, and very few, you know, our resources are limited, and we're coming into a very, you know, what could possibly be a deadly fire season. So understand, if you are aware of it, it's very difficult to look at that other side, but there is another side, and there are a lot of people who are totally unaware of, you know, what steps they can take. So my question is, how, as a council or as a community member, can we address that to try and get out to those people? That's why I said before about doing it at their rural fire brigades, because it's more, make it more of a social thing. I mean, I'd be happy to donate sausages to the rural fire brigades in my area so they can have a sausage sizzle, put something out. They've all got their own Facebook community pages, maybe try and get it out on them, get the ones that know about it to make sure their neighbours know about it. They're just some ideas on how we can get out. And I mean, I do understand everything that's happening, but I do also see that event that we went to, that we all agree was so fabulous, was only attended by, what, 30, 40 people? You know, how many live in our region? So that's my suggestions and concerns.
Yeah, good comment, Councillor Erkins, but as council, and we know, we put it on social media, we put it on the radio, we put it in the paper, we put it on our webpage, and people will still come to us, it doesn't matter what event, and say we didn't know anything about
A
it.
bit of gossip.
Yeah, well, you're right. Yeah, that's right. So it's tough. You'll always get someone out there that, I didn't know anything about it, and that happens with everything across the board. But yeah, take your point and how we manage that. is a big space. Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Thank you for the report, Councillor Potter. It's just a couple of things. Yeah, really looking forward to the Community Resilience and Preparedness Day up at the Bunny Mountains. I did go along last year to the last one that we held, and it was an amazing day, and it was great to see so many of the actual, I think combining that with the dinner with the stars is really important because a lot of the actual residents and property owners will be up there. So that's really wonderful. Thank you for organising that. Looking forward to it. I just had one question. I note in your report on page 60, it says moving forward, local governments are responsible for issuing AWS messaging for flood, storm and cyclone warnings. This will be locally led, state supported. Council's comms team, water team and disaster team will be carrying out training to populate the templates. I just noted the 1st of November deadline. I wondered actually how are the storm and cyclone warnings issued? Are they via SMS or are we what's our role as a local government? Are we just filling in a template and sending it to the state? Just wanted to make sure we were ready.
That is a seriously good question, Councillor,
Thank
because
you.
we have, Donna, myself, James, I think Aaron, I'm not sure if you've managed to sit through one of these, have sat through engagement with the state. Without sounding cheeky, I think somebody thought it was a terrific idea and implemented it by the 1st of November, and the details are coming. So we've given feedback on, and Councillor Potter, I think too, you've been heavily involved, but involved with this. So it's working with state agencies as to how this actually translates from what's a good idea onto the ground. So it's still being thrashed out as far as level of detail.
Yeah, thank you for the update. It's always interesting to hear a deadline looming with very little detail. So thank you for your work on that. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Certainly coming into November and the storm season ahead, it's really important that we are prepared and aware of what we're doing. So really do appreciate your work on that.
Thank you.
Of our new responsibilities.
Yes. We've graciously received them from the state. Chair, if I may, just as a bit of good news, I'm just bringing it up so I don't get the name wrong. SES regional awards for SES Week were held early September. South Burnett Regional SES Group won the Operations of the Year for our region for the Kinley Moor search. So, which was we had good representations there, and also, I'll say, a pleasant surprise to us all. A 5.9 metre swift flood boat was also presented to the SES unit. It'll be based in Nanango on the day. So the Nanango boat's being moved to another area in the region. It was a pleasant surprise, but a surprise nonetheless.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. That's always good to have some good news, isn't it? That's for sure. So Councillor Potter has moved her local disaster management portfolio report and seconded by Councillor Erkins. If there's no further questions, all those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. I'm conscious of the time. Fellow councillors, in morning tea. Councillor Erkins, you'd like to move that we break for morning tea? I have a seconder for that. Councillor Potter, all those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. If we would like to be back in here in approximately 15 minutes' time, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Welcome back. We'll move back into open. We have a mover for that. Councillor Potter, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Shoemaker. All those in favour? Thank you. Welcome back. We're on to number 11.1 on your agenda, page 63, which is Waste and Recycling Management Portfolio Report. And Councillor Potter, ask you to have a presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I'll have most of my report as read, except for the show and tell at the back, so with some of the pictures at the back. So I would just, look, I talk about this every single month with regards to waste at our transfer stations. So you can see the first picture here that is up is actually at the Cloyna transfer station. Where people, they miss the bin completely and it's right outside. So we have to have staff go there, pick that up and put it in the bin. So, and it's not fair on council. It's not fair on our council staff having to drive that distance to go out there and do that work. You'll see another one at Highsville. That one speaks for itself with the illegal dumping of tyres. Maidenwell transfer station, they couldn't even get inside the fence line, so let's just dump it outside near the road, so that's great. But there's also illegal dumping in that picture. You'll see, I can even see a tyre behind the fence and things like that. So illegal dumping is really becoming a huge issue. And if you look at the last picture for the Maidenwell transfer station, people just chuck stuff all over the place. So I'm actually looking forward to the sooner we get an enclosed area for Maidenwell, the better. But look, as I said, I'll leave my report and have it as read, but I do want that illegal dumping and the issues we're having with illegal dumping to be something that we talk about within our community. Thank you. I'd like to move my report as being read. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Further comments? Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you. Thanks for the report. And yes, certainly don't disagree, Councillor Potter. I do, though, have the view that we will have to start really looking at what capital requirements there are for those waste transfer stations and what waste transfer stations we absolutely need into the future and which ones, you know, it's a difficult balance between what we can actually afford. And yes, I'm with you. Unless we as a council make some difficult decisions around that, I think it's pretty clear the behaviour will continue. Just a couple of questions. The waste levy payments, you know, I know this happens, you report this every month, and I understand there's conversations with the Department of Environmental Sciences underway about the prepayment. I just wondered if there's any time frame in those discussions about when we might know or what kind of budget adjustments we might need to be considering. Manager Brooks, it's a real concern.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. So we're just finalising correspondence to the Director General. I've got a copy on my desk. We've just got a discrepancy with the actual waste levy payment as to what we pay back to the state. There's differing amounts, which I think has been resolved this morning. And so we're expecting that the CEO can sign off on that correspondence by the end of the week.
Fantastic. The other question, I really like the addition of the graphs around recycling and the recovered materials from the MRF and the way it's just a really great visual way to sort of track that. The number of patrons each month for August, I think, is quite an impressive graph. I wondered, and tells a story, and I think it's great that we can sort of track some of that data and get a better understanding of our waste facilities. I wondered, in terms of airspace, I know very mindful that, you know, some of our landfills are coming to or will be at end of life. And I wondered, in terms of tracking that sort of 4,155 patrons to the Kingaroy landfill for the month of August. Noting that and the Mergen landfill are sort of filling up. I just, was interested in any thoughts or insights you might have around that airspace. I think it's the most valuable thing that council potentially owns, and just in terms of what we should be really taking from this report here today.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So obviously the number of patrons is just to give you an indication on the amount of usage that these sites get, because that's something that we haven't reported on previously. We've reported on tonnages to landfill and all that sort of thing, but it just gives you an idea on the number of, and these are vehicles that are visiting our sites and utilising our landfill sites. So really, it's just for information, I guess, and this and the recycling data is probably something that we can slide into the information reports going forward. But this is obviously the first time that this information has been presented to council. So, so it's really for information, just showing you the number of vehicles that are utilising and people utilising the facility. As far as airspace, well that's we do our airspace assessments annually as part of waste levy reporting, and obviously there's a whole heap of work going in behind the scenes with our airspace at all these landfills and trying to work out and navigate our way through what the next 5-10 years looks like for landfill usage. And that'll also be covered off in our waste strategy, which isn't too far off from coming to council. So it's certainly more information coming. We're also just organising a bit of a run sheet for the tour of the waste facilities. So, and that'll be done sort of like over three days. We can obviously, talk more about these sites when we're actually getting our boots dirty.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for the additional data and information, and really looking forward to that waste strategy coming forward, really sinking our teeth into this strategic challenge our region, as many others, are facing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Manager Brooks, it's not, and it's not just the illegal dumping either, and had this conversation with some staff or Manager Brooks in relation to people actually being in the bins as well, which is extremely unhealthy. And what they're doing in the bins, there's signs up, and I know in the bins I visit, they're not allowed to be in there. It's an extreme health risk. But just another question, Manager Brooks. On page 66, the question was asked a month or so ago in relation to those barriers that are over there, and there was some comments from community members that when you back up and you see the rubbish on the ground, and in some circumstances, certainly not necessarily all, and some of our community members find those barriers extremely awkward. If they back up there, they can't get their wheelie bins in under there. Has there been any investigation, or is there anything happening or available to happen in that space, perhaps, to look at what could hinder or help there?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so those barriers have, not long recently been in probably a bit over 12 months, I guess, since they've been in use. And look, those barriers are in place, so, protects people from falling into the bin if they're on trailers or back of utes. So unfortunately, you do need some sort of full protection, from our own insurance and risk management perspective. So it's really, and this is a age-old issue with people trying to unload wheelie bins with that protection in place. That protection is necessary, and whilst it does on occasions, provide some challenges, I guess, for people to empty wheelie bins into the bins, but really, there's no real intention to go back and revisit the design at this point in time. So really, it's unfortunately just needs to be the way it is.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Just some of the commentary around them were certain members of the public found it difficult. Sometimes we're losing their wheelie bins down in there. Suggestion, and I guess previously, I think there might have been a chain across there where they could disconnect it, but certainly appreciate the safety aspects of it. they mightn't be ideal, but I guess safety is paramount and that comes first, and perhaps try and unload your rubbish or take somebody with you might help a little bit in that space, but can certainly appreciate for some they can be a bit awkward and depending on what you back up there with, but completely understand, but it's a major issue as only an incident was reported over the weekend to myself and Manager Brooks, and that was in relation to being actually in the bins, which I'm bewildered why people would want to get in there, but anyway, they do. But yeah, all right, if there's no further commentary on that, Councillor Potter has moved and seconded by Councillor Erkins that her portfolio report be accepted. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 11.2 is our waste and recycling management operational update on page 70. And the officer's recommendation that the waste and recycling management operational update be received for information. We have a mover, Councillor Potter, second Councillor Duff. Comments, questions? No, thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 12.1 on your agenda is Rural Resilience and Disaster Recovery, Parks and Gardens, Property and Facility Management and First Nation Affairs Portfolio Report on page 72 of your agenda. Councillor Duff.
Thank you. I'm just, Chair, just going to go through and summarise this report. So the Council's Parks and Gardens facilities were busy cleaning up after the Nanango storm. That was a storm that went through when they had the Nanango music muster, a big hailstorm. And they were lucky that to get away with that muster. And I know there was some they need to use generators and things like that. But the show went on. Mergen Dog Park Community Consultation is being held Thursday, the 12th of October. Monja Hall re-roofing project is now complete. The Monja Hall committee are very excited. They're hosting an upcoming Christmas event. Blackbutt Community Hall re-roofing project has been awarded to a local contractor, which is really great. Tender is currently out for the refurbishment of toilets for Southbound at PCYC Mergen. Stage 2 works at QE2 Park in Mergen are going ahead. The demolition of the old table settings taking place shortly. Work is progressing at Lions Park, Kingaroy. The old shelter will be demolished this month and construction of a new shelter will begin towards the end of the month. Construction on the new toilet block will start towards the end of October. A massive thank you to the Proston Parks team for their hard work in getting the town ready for the Proston Centenary. The parks and township looked fantastic and was a great weekend. And I just say at the opening ceremony, they gave 3 cheers to the council parks and garden staff because that, it was the community were absolutely 100% just so overwhelmed and happy and just excited about the way that council presented Proston for that, as far as the parks and gardens for that event. It was really, really great. And then Baido have continued to deliver workshops in the region. And I was just thinking about what Jane was saying about those workshops, whether we could work with Baido to get some of that sort of stuff happening into the future, those resilience workshops. But so they've ran one in Kingaroy, which is well attended. And then they had a coffee, cake and chat in Mergen to do with mental health and in partnership with the Black Dog Institute. So I would like to move my report be received.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. We have a second to Councillor Erkins. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Manager me or not? No, you had your... sorry, I thought you were putting your hand up. Councillor Shoemaker?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Duff, for your report. It's getting to the really exciting time in the term where you sort of lay out this vision. At the beginning of this term of council, we talked a lot about livability and lifestyle, and it is just so exciting to read over this report and the following reports about the work that's actually happening in our towns and in our parks and gardens and in our facilities, and to see firsthand, the real change that's happened over the last couple of years just really impressed, really excited about the work that's happening with our different community halls. That modular roofing project, that's an enormous project, and it's wonderful to see it's complete, and that the Blackbutt Community Hall roofing project's underway. I know it's a huge project, and to see QE2 Park sort of get underway and to be finished, and to see, you know, the Lions Park here in Kingaroy works underway there. It just really is a really exciting time for council to see some of these things come to fruition, things that we've been talking about for a very long time that are really important to our community. So a heartfelt thank you to the team. I know it doesn't come with its fair share of blood, sweat and occasional tears, and that budgets are fine, and it's really difficult to deliver these projects when CPI and things are increasing all the time, but just really admire the work that's happening by the teams at the moment. The towns are looking, I think, the best they've looked in years, and there's a real genuine feeling of appreciation in the community. So thank you very much for all the work that's happening. Really looking forward to seeing some of these projects completed. And I do have to just say it was remarkable being in Proston on Saturday, and just Saturday night, like the town was lit up beautifully, and to hear it just alive with laughter and people catching up. It really was something. It was such a special event. We really do appreciate all the work the team put into the town. Just amazing. And to see a Rolls Royce and a Jaguar and all sorts of things parked in the street for the street parade really was something really special. So thank you very much. It really was an amazing event, and an amazing way to celebrate 100 years of Proston.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Yeah, that's correct. You know, wonderful to see centenaries. They don't come around too often, and wonderful to see some of our towns, the likes of Anango, you know, and Proston, Cumbia. That's virtually once in a lifetime events for some of us. So credit to everyone, and certainly appreciate the comments, Councillor Duff, to staff members of council and Councillor Shoemaker. Wonderful event and great for the community. If there's no further comments or questions, so Rural Resilience and Disaster Recovery, Parks and Gardens, Property and Facility Management and First Nation Affairs Portfolio Report was moved by Councillor Kathy Duff and seconded Councillor Erkins. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. 13.1 on page 74 of your agenda. The officers recommend Facilities and Parks operational update. The officers' recommendation that the Facilities and Parks operational update be received for information. We have a mover. Councillor Duff, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Erkins. Speakers, questions, comments? Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wanting to know, through you to Manager Leanne, with regards to EOI sent to adjoining owners, for example, lot 11 to 12th Street, waiting responses. So is that we're going to sell those blocks? Is that just what are we wanting? What are we asking for in the responses from the adjoining landowners?
Through you, Mr. Chair. In response to that, Councillor, yes, what we do is send out an expression of interest to the adjoining owners to see if they're interested, first of all, in purchasing the adjoining allotments. All of these properties here listed in the report have come to council, and council has endorsed for these properties to be sold. Under different circumstances, but as you can see, most of these here, they're in a position where they could be offered to the adjoining owner, and if they're interested, then they would put an expression of interest in. Some cases we may have two adjoining owners, as you can appreciate. So they would put their expression of interest in, and they would offer the amount of money that they're willing to purchase for the allotment. Obviously, there's some negotiations that will need to be done because council is trying to sell these parcels of land closer to the market value as possible. So if they haven't been able to go ahead and do an evaluation and assessment of what the market is, then obviously, yeah, we would need to talk to them once they have expressed interest. So there's a bit of work to be done, and there's certainly opportunity for us to talk to each of the landowners if they express interest.
That's really good. I think that's fantastic. So then, if we don't have to go out to the open market, if we can arrange if what's the adjoining landowners are offering is reasonable, we can just go ahead and make those sales without having to go out on the open market. That's great.
Yep, that's correct.
Councillor Shoemaker?
Thank you. Looking over this and certainly looking over the last financial report that we got with the ordinary meeting last month, there's certainly a lot happening in your team, Manager Leanne. I just wondered if there's anything that you really would like to highlight for council or any specific challenges. I imagine there's a lot of different, in looking at the financial report, a lot of different funding bodies making up this long list of projects here, and I imagine there's quite a number of different timeframes associated with that. So I guess just keen to hear from you if there's anything council should be aware of, how things are tracking, anything you'd like to highlight.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Council, there is a lot going on. There's lots of projects and coordination of contractors across the region, and that's very important as we're trying to award as many works as possible to local contractors. And we all know between now and Christmas they even get busier with their commitments to private works and other projects that they have. So it's an ongoing discussion and some movement between our deadlines and theirs to make sure that we can deliver these projects. There's a couple of projects there, and it's highlighted in the status notes. Like the Kingroy Depot car park, for example, where we have gone out to tender twice and not received any offers. If we do not receive an offer this time where someone is willing to do that work, we will bring that back to council in a future quarterly review, and it might be that a project like that could go on hold until further in the year or maybe into a new financial year. So yeah, we'll bring those forward as those problems occur, but that's probably the only one that's causing us a little bit of concern. The other projects are progressing well. We're working very closely with infrastructure, with Aaron's team in delivering those car parks and gearing up for the reseal on the rail trail. So there's a lot of works to occur over the rail trail over the next 12 months, and we're just finalising our scope of works across 3 different funding sources and making sure that we get that right. And then we'll continue on with some consultation with the user group and the landholders, and we had a very, very progressive, positive meeting last week with the South Burnett Rail Trail user group, and really was able to discuss all the projects and the way forward and what's going to happen over the next 12 months. So they were really on board and very supportive of what council's about to undertake there. So that's fantastic. Carew Park, you can see there that planting is going ahead this month, so fantastic for the family members and the community around Carew Park to see some development finally occur down there. So that's great for there. But we've probably got projects across the entire region happening at the moment. So our staff are busy across the region, which is fantastic to see that happen from Benarkan to Mergen out to Proston. So I think that's about it. Wandai swimming pool, that project is complete as well, and the pool is open, and been very, very positive feedback through Councillor Henshin and the pool manager of the community utilising the change rooms, and actually having hot water in the change rooms has been well received by the Wandai community.
Thank you, Manager Peterson. Great result there. Yeah, Councillor Erkins.
Thank you. Through you, Councillor Henshin. I just want to pass on my thanks to the garden staff down at Tipperary Flat it's probably about a fortnight ago. I think it was on one of the hottest days we had, and they had issues bringing the water up to the new water feature, which looks fabulous. And the kid that I asked, was it him that had put all the stones on thing to make a dam disappeared quick and I removed them. But like they were really physically putting out because they had to put another run through because they'd had issues with that pipe locking. But it's really, I'm getting lots of compliments from people on the park saying it's starting to really come together. Especially big thank you from all the birds who I think follow the guys down when they put the seeds out. But you can see it starting to sprout, you know, with a little bit of rain forecast for today. Should give it a kick along, but I'm really happy it's starting to come on. Great, thanks guys.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. You're light.
I'm sorry.
You're right, yep. Yeah, thank you, Manager Peterson. It's credit to the staff, certainly. I mean, we endured 5 major weather events last year, everybody wanting it to dry out. I'm pretty sure everyone wants a couple of weather events just at the moment, no more so than Parks and Garden staff. They do a great job. And under the conditions, it's pretty testing, that's for sure. All right, no further comments on that? All right. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 14.1, Property and Facility Management, is on page 84 of your agenda. And MILP Incorporated lease / gift of a section of McMahon Park. The summary there is MILP Incorporated requests a portion of land in Mergen being part of McMahon Park as per the plans in attachments. This area is proposed to be developed to approximately 6 units for adults with disabilities who require low to medium level care, offering them the opportunity to live as independently as possible in their own homes in a safe and secure environment. And caretakers' residence will also be included in the fenced development. Once a section of land is secured, MILP Incorporated can proceed to obtain grants and funding towards the cost of constructing the units, and the officer's recommendation is that the following report be received for information. We have a mover. Councillor.
I'd like to move that we move this that we progress this to public consultation stage.
All right.
Spoken to Manager Leanne about it. It's just.
So you'd like to move that motion?
I'd like to move that we. Yes, I'd like to move a motion.
And Councillor Erkins second that. Further comments on that particular motion? Thank you, Councillor Duff.
I might speak to the motion.
You speak for it, please. Yep.
So the reason why I'm keen to get this happening is because I think the land that the staff have come up with as an option is a very good option. McMahon Park is out of the way. It's a very large area. It's surrounded by mostly residences with elderly people. The park doesn't get used very much. I remember Greg Griffith always said that further down the tracks, sometime in the future when Mergen developed, that park might be something of benefit, but at this point and further down the track, I don't even know if it is, because as Manager Leanne said, the access is not so great to it. And why this would be such a great project for that this group is they would need somewhere out of the way, and it's really out of the way. And if we get that right spot, but and I think to progress it, because it needs a lot of work now to get it from reserve as for parkland to something that would be able to accommodate this, just to speed the process up. If we went to community consultation and we didn't have any pushback, well then we could progress. But if there's going to be like, oh my God, we don't want this to change, well we can't move forward. So I'd like to see us progress now straight to community consultation. Thank you.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, I'd just like to fully support what Councillor Duff has proposed here, reading over the report and the information received and the enormous amount of group work that the Mergen, the MILP group, I was trying to think of all of those, Mergen Independent Lifestyle Project have put toward building their business plan, to really thinking through what they're hoping to achieve. They've come a long way in the last couple of years that we've been talking to them, and you know, I don't see this any dissimilar to some of the work that council's done previously in previous terms with the likes of other not-for-profits to establish housing for people with disabilities, and that need is just growing in our region at an astronomical rate. So I really do think, having driven by the area, it really does lend itself to a development like this. And of course, I'm always curious in what the history is around McMahon. You know, how did we end up with the land? Was it donated, or does it have a connection to the town that is of relevance? And maybe we can even incorporate that. You know, if we get that feedback, there's always ways to incorporate and acknowledge that in the project into the future. So just really want to congratulate Lorraine Goodchild and the committee on the work that they've done, and thank the council team for coming up with a solution. I know when this was first tabled, we're sort of halfway through that land review. We really weren't sure. I got a long list of land that council owned, and when I started working through it, some of it was, you know, drains and things that weren't really going to work. So it's really great that we've got a proposed solution on the table, and I think, you know, if we can find a way to offer better value or benefit to the community through housing for people with disabilities, it just absolutely makes sense. So really fully supportive, keen to move on that community consultation, because it's my understanding, and that's probably just something I just wanted to confirm. There's quite a lot in the report, but it's my understanding is that's a requirement of the state, and we've done a lot of advocacy in this space with the state around trying for councils to be able to decide when there's underutilised land if we can actually use it for housing purposes. I guess my question is, I just want to be clear on the process. So we would go to community consultation, and then that feedback comes back to council, and we could make a decision based on that to go to the state with a formal request to transfer that from reserve to freehold land. Have I got that right?
Yes, that would be the process, yes.
Yeah. No, fully supportive. I think it's a really exciting project, and I think it would be great to give that MILP group, you know, something like this to work toward. I think they'll absolutely make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Erkins.
Thank you. One of the reasons why I would be very supportive of helping them is because, as they pointed out in the thing, a lot of ageing parents have families, children with disabilities, and I think one of the things that is most important to them is seeing their family members be able to obtain some sort of independence. So it takes a huge worry off their mind. I think one of the other things, you know, it's very important to find an area that is a safe area, because quite often people with disability are open to being manipulated by other members of the community. So an area with a caretaker there, you know, keeping an eye on these people and keeping that under control is very, very important. Of course, we all know about the homelessness and the amount of people that are homeless. So this gives an opportunity for these people to be able to be housed in a safe environment, put families' minds at rest. So I'd be very supportive of this project progressing.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I totally agree with this one too. It's a great one, and thank you, Councillor Duff, for bringing this forward and taking it straight to community consultation, because I think the faster we can move in this space, the better. And I think if we can lease this to the group, that they will actually have a better chance. They haven't had a good luck getting any grants lately, and I do feel that having that block of land that is leased for a long term will give them a better chance and opportunity for the different grants that are out there. So yeah, no, this is a great opportunity, I think, for us as a council, for, you know, to give back to our community.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Just, Mr. CEO, as much as Councillor Duff, Councillor Duff, you had your light on, but just bear with me for a moment. Mr. CEO, on page 85, and as much as Councillor Duff has moved a a motion that we proceed to community consultation. It states on page 85, and about halfway down, council considered a lease gift the identified section at Mile Park to MILP Incorporated for the development, and then slash ABC there. In section B, it says public consultation process being completed successfully. That's already noted there, so the motion, like that's already in the report, so, I mean, there's public consultation process is being completed successfully. It's already noted that that's going to happen. And all I'm getting at is, do we need that motion to move forward, or is that it's already listed in that report?
I think the original report was put up for information to inform councils where we're at. The resolution that's been put forward will say, okay, let's move to that section. So,
Okay.
Leanne, I'll stand corrected, but point B is that we would only transfer it over if successful through the public community consultation.
Yep, no, it was just a comment more than anything that it was noted there in the report about community consultations. Yep.
Yep, that's correct. I just wanted to confirm your question before, Councillor Shoemaker. The site is actually freehold. Yes. So the site, in this case, this site is freehold. So what would have to happen is that the Murgon Independent Living Project Incorporated Group would have to do a subdivision to subdivide the land, and that's part of the discussion and negotiations that we would have to have with the group. But first of all is the community consultation about utilisation and changing of the park. But yes, just wanted to clarify, in this case, this particular park is freehold.
All right, Councillor Duff.
Just closing remarks. Yeah, so that's wonderful. I thought it was still reserved. I just wanted to also mention, as Councillor Shoemaker said, about the history. So in the email that Lorraine Goodchild sent, it says, as a point of interest, the parkland, which is named McMahon Place, also has a connection with my own family. On my mother's side, as Kevin McMahon Sr. was raised by my grandparents and is buried alongside them in the Murgon Cemetery. So we would be quite okay with retaining this name in some way if our project was to go ahead in this location. So that was, yeah, I thought that was pretty special that they've got a connection as well.
Yep, good point,
So,
Councillor
yeah.
Duff. Councillor Shoemaker.
Just a question, being that that's been confirmed. In terms of community consultation then, can I just confirm what we would be consulting on? So is it, because really with the information presented, you know, and the long-standing, that history, noting that, and the shortage of housing in the area, I'm really wondering about what's the most effective use of our time and resources. And, you know, in the first instance, that subdivision is a really interesting point. You know, I don't know what that process would really look like. If it was impact accessible, there'd already be a level of consultation that would have to happen, but it may very well be code accessible. I'm not sure. No, it'd be impact. So, you know, it did state in the report that there'd be another report coming back to council. I'm just wondering if, you know, I don't want to hold this up, progressing it, but I'm wondering if, you know, a report needs to come back around the mechanics of gifting or doing the lease, or what's actually the most effective way for council to resolve this matter. And I guess, Councillor Duff, it's your division, so I'd be really keen to understand your feedback as to what community consultation might look like, you know, and sorry, Chair, I know it's sort of liberty of standing orders, we can have more discussion about this, but I'd really like to understand, you know, we've been talking to this group for a very long time. They've done an enormous amount of work in the business plan. It does, in so many ways, align with our strategic goal to try to find better purposes for underutilised parkland in the region to sort of help us reduce our operating costs. I'm just really keen, Councillor Duff, probably do we need to actually look at, you know, a formal resolution to gift a portion or to enter into a lease, or should a report come back to the actual ordinary standing committee ordinary council meeting where we could move on this sooner. Probably chasing some guidance around process. But I think we're all in agreement it's a really great opportunity, and we all know that the sticking point for this group has been that they cannot actually obtain funding to do the building, and they've actually got some funding of their own too. You know, that some of the parents of people with disabilities are actually happy to contribute dollars to this project. Have you any thoughts?
Councillor Duff, you respond?
My thoughts, through Chair, would be to put a sign up like we have done in other developments, just to say, you know, this section is being considered for this particular type of development, and maybe just sending letters to the adjoining residents to the parkland, just to get it started, because I just don't want all of a sudden people going, oh my God, that's McMahon Park, we don't want to lose that. If there was no, you know, everyone's thinking that's okay, then it kind of like, it's square away, rather than just going, oh, you know, take it too far and then suddenly there's always pushback from the community. I'm not really sure about, I think that there's not going to be anybody concerned, but how do you know?
Councillor Erkins?
I think there's two issues. One is the issue about whether people object to there being a facility there, but the other one is, I mean, it's council land. So it's community land, it's ratepayers' land. I don't think we can actually just give that without consulting with the community. I believe it is a great cause, but I just don't think, I don't think you can just go out and give it to them without doing, following due process, which is to consult with the community. So there's two issues, two sections of it. One, are they happy that we give the land? And two, that there is a facility built. As I said, I mean, I can't see in any way that the community would be not agreeable to that. Well, at least a majority of the community would not be agreeable to that. But I do think we have to go through the process, a sign up there, asking people's opinion, giving them the thoughts of council and asking for their opinion. But, it's twofold. It's not just, do you want the facility? It's also, are you happy that we, council, gift the land to the organisation?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Erkins. Manager Leanne?
Yep. Just wanted to confirm through you, Chair, that we certainly would, through the material change of use with the subdivision, there is a requirement for the consultation. So it's really up to council. I mean, we're happy to go up there and talk to the community about the park and the intent of this project and what we're all trying to achieve, and what changes would that have with the park. Like, there could be some questions around just access, how do we continue to get access to the park? So I think that would be important to have those general discussions up there. But yes, just did want to confirm with you all that as part of the MCU, they will need to go through and do community consultation. I'm not sure of the timeframes. I think we start this process and we just work through it based on the community feedback and the support for this project.
It does state there also, it says to lease/gift. So there's obviously two options there as well. It's not just you gifting it to them. It does state there to lease, so that's another conversation as well, or an option to be explored. Councillor Shoemaker?
Yeah, I just really appreciate the conversation and the additional information. And I'm fully supportive of the approach to go and talk to the neighbours, talk to the community, put forward this proposal. I think what the group have actually prepared about their proposal is excellent and really does tell a story and does help in that consultation. So, and move from there. I think it's a really exciting opportunity, and I'm really glad that we've actually got a way forward for this group. So thank you to everybody working on it. Thank you for the conversation, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. So we have a motion there moved by Councillor Duff, seconded by Councillor Erkins, that council proceed to community consultation for the Milp Incorporated request of a portion of land in Merkin being part of McMahon Park, and that a report outlining the results of the consultation be brought back to a future meeting of council. Do we need a month on that time frame, Mr. CEO? just when our staff can facilitate that. So that's the motion moved in front of us there. No further conversation.
Oh, sorry, do we want to add like to a certain standing committee so that we've got a timeline or?
That's what I just asked.
Yeah, you did ask that.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, certainly we could do that. It is now, this will have to go to council resolution this month, so it's October. And then November we would do the community consultation and try to bring it back. It'll most likely coming back at your December standing committee.
Yep, so I'm happy to add that to the motion.
Okay, so we brought back to the... So it now reads that council proceeded community consultation for the Milk Incorporated request, a portion of land in Mergen being part of McMahon Park, and that a report outlining the results of the consultation be brought back to the December standing committee meeting. Everybody happy with that?
Yep.
All right, no further conversation. All those in favour? Moved unanimously. Thank you very much. We don't need to go back to the previous report. No. Thank you. All right, moving along. We have 15.1, questions on notice on page 111 of your agenda. And the question on notice was, has the recycling improved since being introduced, and can this be shown in a comparison? And the response was, this month's portfolio report has now recycling data which will be updated each month going forward, and that was on page 64 that I think Councillor Shoemaker commented on, and we had some conversation around that. Councillor Potter, are you happy with that response?
I'd just like a point of order or clarification through you, Mr. CEO, with regards to the lease, the gift of McMahon Park. I know, Councillor Duff Part, we moved the motion off the floor, but we didn't actually go back to accept that report. Do we need to accept that report? Because I don't think we accepted that report.
No, not really. If the report was put up for information, councillor, so there was no other action, so now it has an action attached to it. So, yeah, no, it's all fine. Yeah, you did.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Councillor Potter. So you're happy with that response in relation to the recycling that was on page 64? There was some good data there.
Yes,
Thank you,
I am.
Manager
Thank you.
Brooks. Thank you. 15.2 has been dealt with earlier on in the meeting. Oh, I beg your pardon. Beg your pardon. So we have a mover that's accepted, Councillor Potter, seconder, Councillor Duff. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. My apologies. 15.2 we discussed earlier on in the meeting, so we could free our staff up to go back to their duties at their desks. And then on to page 114 is our confidential section. That on page 114, which the officer's recommendation that council considers the confidential reports listed below in the meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 254J of the local government regulations. 16.1 is Jubilee Park legacy issues, and 16.2 South Burnett Aquatic Centre increase to electricity costs. I'd like to have someone move. We moved into a closed confidential section. Thank you, Councillor Erkins, seconded by Councillor Potter. All those in favour? Thank you. We will move into closed, and I will vacate the room on item 16.1.
someone want to move a motion to come out of confidential? Thank you, Jane. A seconder, thank you, Councillor Duff. Sorry, Councillor Erkins and Councillor Duff. All those in favour? Carried unanimously, thank you very much. So we're going, Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to declare that I have a conflict of interest in relation to item 16.2, being that my sister-in-law and business partner works for Summer Country Aquatics in a part-time capacity, and for those reasons I will actually leave the place where the meeting is being held while the decision and discussion is made, if that can just be formally noted. And I did actually leave during the confidential section for that reason. My sincere apologies for not picking it up sooner. I sort of didn't really realise the implications of that until this point, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shoemaker. So that has been noted. So when we get to 16.2, we'll do the swap over between you and Councillor Henshin. So with item number 16.1, we have the motion in front of us, which is to delegate the powers to the Chief Executive Officer under Section 257 of the Local Government Act 2007 to continue to meaningfully engage in correspondence to resolve this legacy issue amicably, and should negotiations fail, then obtain legal advice on, and if deemed appropriate, initiate proceedings under subsection 98 to 108B, Division 5 of Part 6 of the Land Title Act. So can we have a mover? Councillor Erkins, seconder Councillor Duff, thank you very much. Any discussion on this one? Okay, so there's no discussion. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. No one against. Carried. Okay, so we'll move on to item 16.2. So this is where Councillor Henshin comes back in and Councillor Shoemaker is leaving the room. And this is where I actually hand the chair back over to Councillor Henshin.
All right, welcome back. Thank you. 16.2, South Burnett Aquatic Centre increase to electricity costs. The summary, South Burnett Aquatic Centre has seen a major increase in electricity costs, which has financial implications for the pool, leasing and council, as the electricity costs are reading out here. And the officer's recommendation to council is that one, that council amends service management agreement for Summer Country Aquatics, Schedule 3, Clause 1S2Q, contribution to electricity, to a fixed electricity contribution of $55,998 for FY financial year 2023-2024. And point 2, the increase in electricity costs be included in the second quarter operational budget review. So we have a mover of that, Councillor Potter. Thank you. A seconder, Councillor Duff. I don't believe we have to have any further conversation on that. All those in favour? That is unanimous from the 4 of us in the room. Thank you. That's this one. Oh, you've sold the other one, haven't you? Oh, good. Yep, of course. All right. So that's it. We're done. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker's just entered the room again. I thank you for your patience and your participation in today's meeting. For those of our staff and managers and all my fellow colleagues here and CEO Mark, and like to draw close to this meeting at 12:14 on Wednesday, and hope you have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.